Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Goody. Oh, that's bad timing, isn't it? This set the dogs on you. Good evening, everyone. Sorry. Let the dog shut up. There we go. Right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the preview, Ep.7 of the Fanzone podcast. And tonight we'll be previewing Sunday's third round FA Cup tie away at Luton Town. We welcome Phil from We Are Luton Town. Phil, welcome. Thanks for joining us this evening.
No problem. Thank you very much for having us, guys. I really appreciate it. It's nice to have the opportunity to speak to some rival fans. So thanks for having me.
No, our pleasure, mate. Our pleasure. And obviously, I'm joined by Fanzone regular Mr. Colin Yates. Colin, good evening.
Evening all. Thanks for coming on. Thanks very much, Phil.
So I'm at the wheel tonight. So you're gonna have to bear with me a little bit because Ben is otherwise engaged, so I'm controlling the graphics badly, probably. Right,
it's a bit like having your dad do it, really. So, like,
come on, mate, say again.
A bit like having your dad do it, innit? If you can imagine.
It is a bit, innit? I'll be clicking about all over the place, so bear with us. Colin, if you could help me with the comments this evening, and without further ado, we'll dive straight. See what I mean? I cut myself off straight away there, didn't I? So this Sunday, we take a break from EFL action, which has been going well recently, obviously. And we go into a free hit, as some people would call it, a no-pressure affair away at Premier League Luton Town.
So getting used to that, Phil.
I can't stop smiling. Did you see that?
Yeah,
it's such a joy to hear that. I just can't hear it enough.
Yeah. Love it. It's strange. It's strange, really, because obviously, like, we were chatting before we came on air about, you know, the journey in terms of Luton and where you've been and where you've come from to where you are now. The most recent experience I had of Luton was watching you guys run Chelsea very, very close recently by playing some good football without blowing smoke up your bum too much, you know, but playing the right way and playing against a team worth, £1 billion?
Yeah.
Give or take a bit.
Yeah.
Ludicrous, isn't
it? It's a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, it's been completely crazy. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, sort of. I mean, when you think about where we were this time last year, we were mid-table in the Championship. Still getting used to our new manager, who was just recently recruited, having been sacked from our rivals down the road, who I'm not going to mention. You can mention them, but I won't.
Mustn't be sacked there, though.
But yeah, so we were, like I say, we were mid-table. We were just getting used to sort of Rob Edwards and how he was going to play. And like you say, now we're giving decent challenges to genuine, massive clubs. I mean, you look at our home games this season so far. We should have beat Liverpool, but we were pulled back in the 97th minute. We took Arsenal to the 97th minute. We've beaten Newcastle, who were in the Champions League. We came close against Chelsea last week. I mean, Chelsea last week was an interesting one because we played really well. As you just said, we played really good football, but we found ourselves 3-0 down. And it was there was a huge individual error for the first goal. You end up going 3-0 down and you think, oh, well, that's that really. But you also realise that what doesn't always get picked up in terms of Luton's narrative is the fact that, above all else, the squad and the team morale and the team unity is so incredibly strong. Mm-hmm. So even as fans, after all these years, you're still thinking, hang on a minute, like we could go down 4 or 5. But the fact that they came back 3-1, 3-2, hit the bar twice, had a VAR check. It just goes to show that this squad that we've got is really special. So it's a really, really good time to be a Luton fan at the minute.
I
think it's hard, but it's really.
You're going to need, Phil, as well, isn't it? You're going to need that. You're going to need that togetherness, aren't you, to even stand the chance of staying up. I think you've got every chance from the outside looking in, and obviously you're speaking to a fan base here that tried to survive for many years in the Premier League before then, taking off. So it's definitely a good thing that you've got that kind of continuity within your team.
Yeah, and we've got that core of sort of Premier League nous at the moment. So with the resurgence of Ross Barkley and being able to sort of have an ex-England international playing right in the middle of our park. I mean, he's torn some incredible players to pieces recently, and you've got Andros Townsend, who's now just signed a long-term deal with us until 2026. So he's a huge influence on the team. You've got Marvelous Nakamba that's in there, Premier League player. So we've got some real genuine experience that can hopefully pull us through. It'll be interesting to see what we go for in January, to see if we top things up. I've not even mentioned that we've got Lokonga on loan from Arsenal as well, and he's been doing absolute bits in the last couple of games, which I never thought I'd say, by the way. So yeah, it's been a real positive time, like I say, and I hope that we sort of give ourselves a chance in January by at least keeping up with those other guys that are recruiting around us. So yeah, like I say, it's an exciting time, and like I say, but that all that being said, that's the league, and we're in a cup game with you guys. So like I said before we went on air, like I'm really, really excited to have you guys down and take you guys on. So
do you mind? Obviously, we discussed this, Phil, and obviously, we will get into more of the other kind of segments shortly. But do you mind elaborating on why you're looking forward to seeing the Wanderers at your place? We chatted about this before we went live, didn't we? So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think I've been very fortunate as a Luton fan over the last sort of 10, 12 years to see us rise. I've seen an incredible drop, but I've also been fortunate enough to see the rise from the ashes, so to speak. And one thing that I know that myself and a number of other people in the fan base miss is like proper die-hard fans that don't care what league you're in, but they love the club, and that's it. That's the be all and end all. Yeah. And going into the Premier League, like you reach for the top of the pyramid, you yearn to get to the top, because that's what football's about. Football's about winning and getting those trophies and getting that prestige.
Don't I just know it?
Yes. so
that's the word. Yeah,
you do. You yearn to getting towards the top. And but what's been really weird being in the Premier League is like how quiet it's been. Like, and I know that we don't have the biggest allocation, but you would expect the sort of the hardcore, the biggest fans to sort of hopefully be the ones that come to your ground. And we've had a couple of good showings from away fans. Newcastle in particular, not only were they massively respectful because of what happened to Tom Lockyer, they showed a wonderful supportive banner, but they made the greatest noise of the whole season. But we've
class,
had,
wasn't it?
It was proper class.
Wasn't
Yeah. And like I say, I hope they stuff Sunderland this weekend. That's my personal thing. But yeah, like, I've got a great deal of respect for Newcastle and their fan base. But realistically, over the last year or two, the best fans that have come to Luton have been those from the lower league. So we played Grimsby in the cup. They were not only were they really good on the pitch, but their fans were absolutely remarkable. We played Gillingham earlier on this season, and like I say, you when you've gone through all the leagues and you've seen all the different teams that we've hosted, like you do miss it as much as we've gone on and we're in the top league. You do miss the sort of
proper football,
grassroots proper football. Yeah. There's so many fans that rock up and are waiting to be entertained, and I get it. They pay their money. They want to be entertained. I do get it, but there's an element of fans that are so hardcore that they just want to see their team. They love their club so much that all they care about is winning, rather than being booed at because they only beat Luton 1-0. It's there's quite a huge amount of pomposity in the Premier League. And
Phil, we've had a question, or not a question, more of a comment really, and I'm wondering whether you'd be inclined to agree with this. Will Prince in the chat has asked, or suggested or raised the point. That's because in the Premier League, you get the fans and they're falling out. Well, they can record every player that comes on to take a corner.
Yeah.
Are you inclined to agree with that comment?
Yeah,
Phil?
Will's all over it.
Yeah, clearly.
And it's one of those things where, like I say, you must have seen, like, because it's been in so much media coverage. Our away end is probably the most photographed away end in all of football. Like, it's incredible the amount of attention it gets. And the whole thing, there was a huge media campaign when we were in the playoffs even last year, like Haaland could be coming to Kenilworth Road, going through this entrance, this, that, or the other.
Somebody's garden.
Like I said, you do see that, like, as soon as they go over to the corner where the away fans are, just everyone whips their phones out. It was weird actually, because Haaland and De Bruyne didn't play against us for Man City, so they didn't even get to see that up close. But you do see that. That's a really fair comment.
It's right though. Even with the the supporters, the sort of the prawn sandwich brigade that will be rocking up to your gaff. Like you said, we were saying it off there, that, because of the limited allocation of tickets, it will be the ones who've had the longest membership, who've got the most points, etc. So you'll get a certain profile of supporter, your prawn sandwich brigade, to a point. And still, that will be one of the objectives of the day, to get a photograph of somebody's washing hanging out as they're walking in.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting a result or seeing a good game of football and stuff. I am generalising massively. I do get that. I'm probably going to alienate us completely. So when we get back in the Premier League, they'll all be waiting for us, Cole. But it is very much that way, specifically because of the size of Kenilworth Road and the allocation they're given. They're used to getting 4,000 and 5,000 tickets away at Tottenham's new ground or wherever it might be. So. But no, it was weird as I was watching the Chelsea game, thinking that there's probably a lot more similarities in terms of where we've come from and where you've come from, as opposed to us against, versus a Tottenham or a Chelsea or a West Ham or something like that. So
although we used to beat them lot quite regularly when we were in Prem before. Just to add to that. Them three teams you just mentioned that were never a competition for us. Chelsea.
Weird how I mentioned those. Yeah, we used to ruffle their feathers regularly, and you don't expect it. Big Sam used to love it. There's famous interviews about him referring to Mourinho and Wenger about them not liking it. He doesn't like it, does he? Yeah. When they were talking about referring to the post-match pressers about how we play long ball and stuff like that, when the reality was that when you've got players like Campo, Hierro, and Stelios, that you ain't playing long ball.
They play to strengths, don't you? That's the thing. You play to strengths.
Exactly. It's your second balls from corners and what have you.
It's such an easy narrative to follow, isn't it? Because that's exactly what we've been sort of labelled this year, is that we'll out strengthen, we'll be more physical than other teams. You actually watch us. We'll play it long when we've got to, but like you say, you play to your strengths, but we can play good football as well. And I think that we've sort of gone under the radar because there's been a lot of media attention around Burnley and Vincent Kompany, because they stormed the Championship last year. Everyone seems to still be holding on to that, and because they play good football in the Championship and they're sort of sticking to their guns, but look at where they are.
More points behind you and playing the game more.
So that's our next league game. We've got them away, so that's a proper 6 point of that one. But like I said, we play football. Someone else, I saw a comment flash up saying that we were unlucky against Chelsea, and we do play good football. And like I say, it's interesting how the narrative just goes on throughout the years. It was your turn years and years ago to be that those guys labelled as the long ball lumpet guys under Sam Allardyce, and we've got that tag at the moment as being sort of
embrace
over physical.
It is my advice, Phil. Embrace it.
Yeah, no, we do. Don't worry about that.
Say it.
Yeah, the teams like Luton hashtag. We love it.
Yeah. Because obviously it was us, and then it was Stoke, and it sounds like maybe you guys have got that mantra now as well. But just enjoy it. Stick it to them.
We'll embrace it, definitely.
Keep beating them and keep matching them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, keep bloody in the noses.
Yeah.
It's 27 years since we last played Luton Town. 1997. I'll probably not labour the score line too much because I think it's completely irrelevant to what's going to happen on Sunday. But it was 6-2. Friend of the show, Super John McGinley, grabbed a brace. It was at Burnden Park in 97. Right in, well, it would have been the last season at Burnden Park. So it's been a while. It's been a while, but the FA Cup has brought us together. I noticed in the comments that, and it's certainly a question that has been burning away at me in terms of what your expectations are for. Well, there you go. What is Phil expecting from Bolton? And also what kind of team, given the situation you're in, and you've got, obviously you've got a real focus in keeping your status in the Premier League. What kind of team are you thinking will be taking the field on Sunday for you guys?
I think, truth be told, like I just mentioned a second ago, we've got a massive fixture next week, and I do a written diary piece as like a preview and then a review for We Are Luton Town, and in my preview I've sort of said I feel like it's an odd fixture because I feel like we're both in a situation in our respective leagues where yes, it's a free hit, and yes, there's an element of that, but also I sort of speculated about the fact that you guys are 2 points off of top with the game in hand. You're absolutely flying. Yeah. We've got the Premier League to try and stay in. We've got a squad of players where recently our success has been that I think that Rob Edwards has found a formula for our starting lineup, which means that they've been playing quite regularly. Our starting lineup in the league is actually quite easy to predict at the moment. And I think that there are a number of players that are sort of on the fringe that do just need a little bit of time on the pitch. And it's not a case of disrespecting Bolton. I do think it's just a case of keeping a lot of people happy as well. I think that there are players that are going to come in. You're going to see your Pelly Ruddock and Panzus. You're going to see Mads Anderson play. I think that you'll probably see Colin Morris.
Not him again.
Yeah.
Flashbacks.
Yeah, but you'll see. I think you might see Carlton Morris up front instead of Adebayo. Yeah. And you'll definitely see Tim Krull in goal. I just see a comment down there. It'll definitely be Tim Krull in the net. And so there will be changes. I think that we've not got a massive amount of luxuries at the back. We obviously, unfortunately, have lost Tom Lockyer. We don't know how long for, but we've lost him, and we've got Reece Burke that's been out for quite some time as well. So that's the area where we're sort of stretched. And as much as I think
forgot about Reece Burke. He's another connection between the two clubs. He played for us for a short while as well.
Did it? Oh yeah, excellent. Yeah. So I mean, he's great, but he's got elastic band sort of hamstrings. They just twang at the moment's notice. It's ridiculous. So he's one of the best defenders we've had in years, but he's so injury prone. It's incredible. Those long lanky legs, they just twang as soon as he's got a sprint on. And then you'll lose him for a month, and then he'll come back. He'll set the world alight for 6 weeks, and then he'll go again. So yeah, I think that we'll, like I say, moving forward, I think that we'll have a decent lineup. We'll pay you respect. I know that Rob Edwards has had his press conference today, and he said that Bolton are absolutely to be respected. So he'll want to keep certain players match fit, give them certain minutes, but I think that he'll also try and change probably 4 or 5 players in the starting lineup that he can afford to do. And like I said, I think that it will be a case of showing you guys respect. And I think that that's what we love about Rob Edwards, is that he knows where he's come from. He's come from Forest Green. He's gone through the league like himself. And he knows that it's difficult because the gaps are massive when you see how much Burnley, Sheffield United and Luton have struggled to go into the Premier League this year. But when you go drop down into the AFL, you look at what Ipswich have done. The gaps between the Championship and League One aren't as significant, especially the top half of League One, I would say. The top half of League One isn't that dissimilar to the Championship, and we're fresh out of the Championship. So I don't want to disrespect us. I don't want to disrespect you guys, but I think that what I'm trying to get across is that there will be a professional respect about the fact that you guys are flying, and confidence goes a long way on a football pitch. It's 11 versus 11. And like I say, I'll be interested to see whether you guys play your sort of preferred 11 because of what I said, because of the fact that you are chasing the league. And do you want to sort of like waste minutes in the legs of your first team as to go for the fourth round?
If it was up to me, Phil, I'd probably say no to that. I would hope that we wouldn't play full strength because we've got more pressing matters, and I'm sick to death of being in League One, to be honest. I want to get out of it and I want to start moving forward. Our priority is purely lying in getting automatic promotion. But Ian Evatt, who is a very good friend of your gaffer, I think they're very close from what I understand. He won't want to lose. He hates losing. We're not used to losing as well, more importantly. So we probably will go strong, but if it was down to me, I would hope that wouldn't.
We've not got much choice, though, Col, have we? In terms of
we've not. However, to add to that, Phil, we never play the same, or very rarely play the same starting 11.
Right.
We've got so much fluidity within the starting 11. Players can come in for other players, and you don't see a drop off. Granted, it's League One, at the same time. However, some of these lads are pretty talented footballers in their own right. So we shouldn't really see a drop-off if we were to make many changes.
Yeah.
And he's rotated throughout Christmas 4-5 changes a game, and it's stayed consistent. But, hey, obviously we're up in the ante in terms of the quality of opposition. So it'll be interesting. Thinking about players who are, obviously we've referred to one player, and obviously the connection between Rob Edwards and Ian Evatt. Carlos Mendes Gomez, unfortunately, well, not for him, is in Qatar at the moment representing Guinea-Bissau.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
Nice break. You know what? It's a funny one, Phil, because we've only seen flashes
of brilliance
of him as a player.
Yeah. We had the same, to be honest with you. We had exactly the same. He never really got
an enigma, isn't he? This fella, yeah.
There was a lot made out of us getting him when he came to us.
Yeah,
and then he never really broke into the team. He come off the bench and he would make an impact-ish, if that makes sense. You could see that there's a player in there. You could see that there's raw talent, but it was whether or not he could do it from the start. And I was actually really looking forward to seeing him. So you could probably see in my face that I was a little bit gutted.
It's just game time for him. That's all, Phil. He's had quite a few niggly injuries, and it's setting back a little bit. And because we've got, despite what I've just said in terms of the starting 11, our forward line generally picks itself. And of course, Mendes Gomez would kind of find himself in that kind of, that attacking kind of position. Not only that, he's a bit of a, is he number 8? Is he number 9? Is he number 10? I think he was bought to help with a little bit of fluidity within our attacking lineup when we do need to make some changes. And obviously, as a result of that, the fact that he's been injured, obviously we've not seen enough of him as we would probably like. However, what I will say to you is he's quite clearly got the skill set, and I think with his body, the way he's built and the way he is as a footballer, I think he's probably going to be more suited to playing in the Championship. So hopefully, all being well, we get promoted and he has a bit of a run towards the end of the season. He can push on next season and obviously make an impact then. That's kind of along the lines of I'm thinking with him.
I'd hope that for him, because I just, like I say, he's one of those players. I was speaking to someone the other day and they were saying about sort of how formulaic football's become. And as much as there's a lot of people that love the fact that Guardiola's had such a massive effect on the whole football pyramid in the way that he plays, you don't very often find like wingers or strikers that are expressive in the way that they play. They're 99% of the time they'll cut back inside and they'll pass it off and they'll play to the shapes and keep possession. Carlos is one of those players to me where he's all about in the moment. He can play to the rules, don't get me wrong. Like, he's got the ability to do what the team structure asks of him, but he's also got that special moment in him. And unfortunately, we didn't see enough of it. But you know when you see a glimpse and you think, he's got something. He's definitely got something.
I was trying to bring up a comment there, clicking away as I was. As Mars rightly said, he scored a cracker for us in the Cup. And when we talk about the Cup, we talk about the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. Papa John's as it was. Yeah, Colin's favourite.
The Johnston's Paint Trophy 2009 is the one that I remember. Funnily enough.
Of course, yeah.
Well, I'm reacting like this, and we bloody won the thing last season. Phil.
Yeah. And he was sat in front of me, and he was moaning about it, Phil. I tell you what, he's celebrating like the rest of us.
Yeah, I celebrated the first 2 goals, but the third and the fourth, I was a bit like, yeah, can we go on now? Like, I've had enough of this now.
But yeah, Carlos did score an absolute peach against Salford in the earlier rounds. And you're thinking what you've just said, that kind of like impact dynamic. I think Evert's, like Cole's just touched upon in terms of not getting too far ahead of ourselves, talking about potential championship football. He does bring another dimension, and he showed it. And I think injuries aside, Evert's plans for him are to sort of nurture him and develop him and shape him into probably a different player to to what he's used to fit into the shape that we play. But time will tell. And obviously the other connection is Ronaldo, Messi, Cameron Jerome. You've not seen the clip, that'll go right over your head.
Google it if you've not.
Yeah, it's class.
I've got so much love for Cameron Jerome. I'm all about that. That's fine.
You know what?
Can I just add? I even though he's not hit the ground running for the Wanderers, and I think there's several reasons behind that. Obviously, his age being one, and obviously the expectation level. So quick, yeah. But the expectation of the Bolton fans is very high. When it's very high anyway for a club who's currently in League One. I think we have quite high expectations for the reasons we discussed before we came on air. But I think the reason why he's kind of like I've got a massive respect for him is because he's helping, and it's obvious that he's helping the other players on the team. So our star striker is Northern Ireland international Dion Charles, who never stopped scoring effectively. He had a very good season last season, but he's having an even better season this season in front of goal. No, I do genuinely think the reason for that is Cameron Jerome is teaching him some of the tricks that's necessary to score, goals, and not only goals at a higher level, which we're hoping Dion can do. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect for him. I know a lot of Bolton fans call him a disappointment, or he's not reached the expectations, or whatever they want to say. But I think the only reason why they say that is because they see his name. But he's a 38.
I think for me, it's knowing his remit. So it very much the same as you guys. Like, we looked at his age. Bear in mind, like I say, we were in the Championship, and we actually got him from League One. I think he was at the MK Dons.
He was at MK Dons,
we were like, right, okay, he's obviously eyeing up his coaching badges, and and he had a belting season for MK Dons the season before, and he got into double figures. And we saw his benefit because the season that he was there, we had Adebayo that was scoring goal after goal after goal, and you could see elements of Cameron Jerome's game in Adebayo, and then he would gas out Adebayo for 75, 80 minutes, or Carlton Morris 75, 80 minutes, and then Cameron Jerome would come on. And yes, he hasn't got the pace that he used to have, but he's still an absolute unit. He puts himself about, he knows the positions to get into. And like I say, it's just knowing that he's a mentor. He's a playable mentor that will get the better out of other players. And like you say, you'll see the benefits in Dion Charles, and he'll be picking up things every single day from Cameron Jerome.
Yeah,
so as long as you're looking at it through that lens, I think you'll understand the value in Cameron Jerome.
And it's not only him as well. We signed Victor Adebayo from Burton Albion for a reported, I think it was around 500 grand last year, and a lot of Bolton fans are disappointed in him because he's not scored as many goals. But if you look at the way Adebayo plays in terms of his back to goal work, it reminds me very much of the Cameron Jerome at Birmingham, at Norwich, and a lot of Stoke. The clubs that he were at when he was younger, and the way he played. So yeah, absolutely. You've got to look at it through the right set of eyes, which not everybody can, because at the end of the day, he's a striker, and he should be scoring goals when getting the opportunity. But yeah, there's a bit more to it than that.
Yeah, that's my opinion as well. I tend to agree with you. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, Phil, when he was with Luton, firstly, how long was he with you for?
He was with us for around about a year and a bit. So we held on to him, and then I think he wanted to move further up north to be with his family. So we were actually quite gutted that he'd made that choice, because like I say, it was around this time last year that we'd lost him, and it came completely out of the blue, and we weren't sure whether it was because of the link that he had with Nathan Jones, our previous manager,
right, of course,
whether or not Rob Edwards just wasn't fancying him as part of his sort of coaching setup. Because like I say, you could clearly see the influence that he was having from a coaching level as well. So we were gutted, and there's actually been a fair few comments in terms of like the Luton fan base about whether or not we sort of, it's probably a bit strong, but sort of almost honour him tomorrow by giving him some sort of memento about the fact that we went up last year through the playoffs, because he didn't, as far as we're aware, I don't think he got a medal or anything like that, but he was with us for half the season. So there's, even though it wasn't the better half of the season, we shot up after he left, but that's not a slight on him. It'll be interesting to see whether or not we sort of pay our respects to him if he's there tomorrow.
I'm sure you will.
There you go. There's an interesting angle. There's an article online from Cameron Jerome. Apparently he wanted to move up north because of his home being burgled.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Cheers to that, Mark. There, it is, isn't it? All these things you have to consider. You know, well, we don't, because we're football fans, and it's not our problem. But these factors do contribute to a player's journey. You know, kids at school, location, family, But there you go. But no, I'd be interested. Yeah, it's easy to say his signing has been a disappointment purely on the basis of data and goal output. But like Cole said, I think you're very, very fortunate to get that kind of experience amongst the ranks and nurturing, as Cole said with Dion. It's it's invaluable. Another link, and it's the last one we've got that I can think of anyway. If anybody else has got any, then feel free to contribute. Is a potential player at Bolton Wanderers, which is a certain Joe Taylor.
Oh, you'll do well to get him. If you get him, you're going to be in luck. He's a good player.
I'm hearing this a lot. So obviously, Joe is just ending a loan with Colchester United, I believe.
Yeah, he's been recalled. Yeah.
Where he scored 12 goals in a pretty bang average
shoddy team. Yeah.
Yeah, they've not been doing great at all. Obviously, they've had a management reshuffle and what have you. Interestingly, though, Bill, and this is a bit of a moot point. One of your it might have even been you, I don't know, but one of the team said that he would prefer Joe to go to Oxford.
All right, okay. It weren't me. I'm just gonna put that out there straight away.
Hey, listen, you guys know Joe. I never heard of him until about a week or so ago. So
right, okay. You know, he came on in the playoff final, and he was the player that scored the disallowed goal for the handball, and it was a handball. There's no arguments about that. But in terms of like outright energy and a proper whip it, you know that everyone says about the fox in the box. Everyone's always after that fox in the box, and it's not such a popular thing to be anymore. You know what I mean? No. Like the way that football's progressed is that isn't necessarily the be all and end all. But
Harry Kane's fault.
It is. Yeah, but if you're looking for someone that will get a toe on the end of a cross and someone that will try and run the lines and try and break through and use raw pace, he's that guy. And we're all really excited about him. There's a lot of people that don't want him to go back out on loan. They want to actually recall him as something different to what we've got. So as much as I think the reality of it is that he will go back out on loan, and that he will go from a League 2 club to a League 1 club. But like you probably saw my face when you mentioned him. I think that anyone that gets his signature from now until the end of the season will be in for a treat, because he's not, I would probably suggest, if he came to yourselves, that he's not going to get in above Dion Charles. Like I say, he would probably be playing as a striker off the bench. But if you want raw pace, raw energy, and a proper little ankle biter up top that's going to put pressure on other players up front.
That's
other
Dion.
Players
That's Dion all day long. That's exactly what.
Well, if he can gas himself out after 60, 70 minutes, and you want someone to come on to do the same thing, he's the right guy. The problem is from our perspective, from a Luton Town perspective, we don't want to loan him out to someone to play for half an hour a week. We want him to be starting every week.
That's probably where.
However,
comes.
To add to that, what I would say to that is from a development perspective, which is what an angle you might want to look at, Phil, is he's going to be playing in front of 24,000 every week. He's going to have, if he does get a chance, he's going to have a lot of expectation on him to perform, which happens at our club, whether that's right or not, given the fact that we're currently in League One. So that's not going to do him any harm at all. Even if he's just getting half an hour there, here and the odd start there, because there's going to be pressure coming towards the back end of this season for us to get promoted, and there'll be pressure on him to perform, and there's an expectation with that.
I don't think he'll have a problem with that, and I know that it's more than just one game, and I'm not trying to dispute what you're saying. He stood up to take a penalty in the playoff final as well, to do that under like the most extreme of pressures. The guy has got some serious cojones,
Trying to look at it from a different angle for you instead of just thinking.
I understand.
You get what I mean? Like in terms of development for a young kid, coming to a club of our stature and expectation. I know, as I said, albeit in League One. That won't do him any harm whatsoever.
Plus, he gets
because Charlton have been touted for him as well.
Yeah, Wickham as well, haven't they? There's been a few.
Yeah, there's a few people that are after him. So it'll be interesting to see where he does sort of get sent out to and who has the opportunity to work with him. So
and Dion can't do it all on his own as well. Like he obviously he does tend to play for about usually 60, 70 minutes, something like that. And he can't start because it's Saturday, Tuesday for a while. Early this year, so could be an option for him and obviously us as well. But it's a link as well, I guess, between the manager,
that's it,
and your gaffer as well. They know each other very well, don't they? So he'll know what he'll know what to expect from Bolton, I guess, if he does come to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Thinking ahead again, looking at Sunday. Obviously, we've talked a lot about us. We want to talk more about you guys. What are your thoughts in terms? Obviously, there are going to be changes personnel wise, but who do you think might be a key player? Somebody who's sort of on the fringes, looking to come in and prove a point, who we should look out for, Phil?
I mean, I think the one of the star players through the sort of from probably game 5 to sort of 15. He lost his place in the team, but Ogbene, Chidozie Ogbene, if he starts, he's not going to lose to anyone in a foot race. So seriously, he set the fastest speed in the Premier League this season. Carl Walker, anyone. He did the fast sprint. He's incredibly quick. He's a full Ireland international as well, and we got him.
Yes.
We got him. Right. We got him from Rotherham on a free. Yeah. And there was a lot of sort of look at Luton sort of scrounging around, but the guy is a proper footballer. He can play as a wing back. He can play as an out and out winger. And when he gets the ball, you can see teams get sort of frightened of him because they just know that he can just breeze past them. So I expect him to start this week because he had a little bit of a niggle, lost his place in the team to Jacob Brown and Andros Townsend. So we've got good flexibility on the wings. So Ogbene can play left or right. But Andros Townsend has been playing regularly. He's got his fitness up and he's proven to be really quality in the team. And Jacob Brown he's got such an engine on him that he's also cemented his place in the team because we know that we're not massively possession based. I know that I sort of go against what I was saying earlier on to you guys about sort of being sort of tainted with the sort of long ball brush, but we do play good football. And but we also do need workers that can do that wing back role. So Jacob Brown's been getting the nod, but I think that Ogbene will get the chance this weekend. And if he starts, he'd be the main man that I would keep an eye on to have a large impact on the game. If I was
Ogbene's a winger, then
yes, winger / wing back. But like I said, he can play either side. He's right footed though, and like I say, just if he starts, just watch him sprint and try and keep up.
Probably would mean that Randall Williams would start for us. Then I would suspect at left back.
Right.
Randall's pretty quick, so he could try his best to keep up with him, I guess.
And I just without trying to do your job for you, I can see there's a comment about Jordan Clark as well. Jordan Clark plays in the middle. Yeah, I have such a huge amount of love for Jordan Clark. Like he's such a good footballer. He can turn on a sixpence. Like he's an intelligent footballer. I'm surprised he hasn't had more minutes. But the thing is, his position that he's grown into. So in the Championship last year, he grew into an out-and-out centre midfielder because he's got such a lovely, he's got a great engine, lovely range of passing. He can twist players inside out. But the reality of it is that our centre midfield has been taken up by Ross Barkley, and his form has been astounding. So to pick Jordan Clark over Ross Barkley isn't going to happen in the Premier League. But this weekend, like I said, I think it's a good shout that he might get a start.
Excellent.
Liam said that Luton Legendary is, but Barkley's a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like everyone's seeing it this year, and it's lovely to have a player in our strip that he's getting the sort of credit that he deserves, because he's just, you see him in person. Like I say, the ground is a tight little ground, and I'm fortunate enough to sort of sit close enough to the ground where you can sort of get a sense of the fact that Ross Barkley isn't just a good footballer, like he's an absolute unit as well. Like his legs are just, I remember people off.
I remember when we dropped out of the Premier League, we played Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough. So that would have been around 2012 kind of time. Ross Barkley was on loan at Sheffield Wednesday. As a young lad. Yeah. And I do vividly remember him he scored a penalty as well, I think, if I can remember rightly. And remember thinking he's a talent, and like you just said, he's a big lad for his age. Then obviously, he's obviously matured and he's a lot better. I wonder with him. I wonder whether he's got. I don't think he's not really much chance. I would have thought, but I wonder if he's got the England's Euros in the back of his mind as a driver, possibly.
Yeah. He was in Southgate's first squad when he was England manager. So I know that it didn't last, but obviously he was in the squad, so he's been picked by Southgate before. And when you look at how
he's got the versatility who's game money that Southgate will probably like in that kind of that tournament football. Possibly.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where when you think about like Jordan Henderson and when you think about Calvin Phillips, I know who I'd rather have. Not being funny, I'd rather have a guy that's playing every week. He's I think he's 29, 30. Yeah. He's been around forever, but he's not.
Yeah, he's been around forever, hasn't he? Yeah, absolutely.
Unreal. I imagined him being in his, not from looking at him, but sort of like you say, based on his career, the span of his career, that he'd be 30, 32, something like that. That's crazy. And you think about players like Danny Drinkwater, who basically knocked it on the head. Very, very similar.
Yeah.
You see that kind of like
I say, keeping Ross Barkley fit is the key for us staying up this year. If he stays fit, we've got a chance. If he doesn't, we're in a whole lot of trouble.
I think Liam's probably paid him, from a Bolton perspective, certainly one of the biggest credits you could ever.
Yeah.
Comparison wise. And obviously our, the amount of football we've seen Luton play this season compared to is minimal, but the bits you see, you can see the parallels there in terms of
to give you a bit of a context for those of a certain age, like Luton fans among our own fan base are saying he's the most talented player we've ever had. We're talking Ricky Hill. We're talking like the absolute most elite players we've ever had represent our squad, our club. He's number one. Like he's incredible. Like to be able to have him in our team, it's an actual pleasure. And that sounds really gushing and a little bit silly, but the reality of it is we've ever had, ever. So I love him to pieces. I just hope that he carries on playing to the same level as he is at the moment. So.
I think that it's like you say, it's keeping him fit. He's had a horrible record on the injury wise, which is probably the reason why he's not achieved what he probably should have achieved really as a footballer.
Yeah.
So it's all about his fitness, isn't it? Is it a permanent signing, Ross Barkley, for yourself?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah. So we've got him for a year. I don't know exactly the ins and outs of it, but I suspect that we've got an option of a second year if we stay up. So there's a lot riding on him staying on us staying up for him to stay with us. So
excellent.
Good.
Right. I think we're getting close to wrapping things up. Just a couple of bits before we do. From the same excerpt where WALT preferred Joe Taylor to go to Oxford, somebody referred to our ground as the Reebok Arena.
I heard that.
It's a tough sheet community stadium, but we still call it the Reebok.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But also, probably joking aside, I noticed that you guys are during the month of January, yourself and your colleagues taking on a bit of work for charity, running 26.2 miles, which is a marathon, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
for prostate cancer in the UK. Do you want to just have a bit, give the viewers a bit of an insight into that?
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for that as well. I really appreciate that. Our club legends have been affected in recent years by prostate cancer. So Nick Owen, who was at one point our chairman, and also Mick Harford, who's a club legend, and Brian Horton, a former manager, all within the space of like the last sort of 18 to 24 months, and up until recently have been affected by prostate cancer. And we decided that to sort of as a sort of nod to those club legends that have got us to where we're at now, that have saved the club from potential ruin and ultimately extinction, the least we could do was to try and raise some money for Prostate Cancer UK this month. And they were doing a run the month. So at first it was a case of all four of us getting together and saying who's going to do it. And as we got closer to the date, we actually all decided that we were going to do it each. So you'll see the running counters if you follow us on the socials. You'll see a couple of videos of me blowing out of my backside. But we're all doing it as on top of what our normal day would be. So it's not a case of just wearing a step counter throughout the day. It's a case of actually taking the time to specifically go for a run in regards to this specific cause. Can
I interrupt you very quickly, Phil? Sorry to do so, but just so I'm ensuring I'm looking at the correct thing. Obviously, it's through prostate cancer, and it's We Are Luton Town, run for Mick and Nick. Is that correct?
That's us. Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll share that on our socials, but also post in the chat as well for you.
Top man, I appreciate that so much. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that.
No, absolutely. It's something that needs exposure and credit, given that Liam's mentioned. Obviously, the connection, obviously, he's been given a lot of prominence through Jeff Stelling's work as well. Yeah. I mean, I've still got my...
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, there you go.
It's like, it's something that, whilst you see the little figures and you hear it mentioned, I don't think there's enough kind of knowledge of what it's all about. So we'll get, as Cole said, we'll stick that out through the Fanzone Pod socials as well.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
And best of luck with it.
Thank you. Yeah,
we're for Sunday. But...
Yeah, you can see that we're not the fittest bunch, so it's a genuine challenge. So
all we can see is your head. To be fair, though, Phil.
I won't embarrass myself by standing
up.
You've
got me, Phil, mate. So you're all right. You keep going. But no, jokes aside, it's a brilliant cause, and well done for doing that. It's mad. I remember Nick Owen from watching Good Morning Britain back in the day. Showing my age now. But I didn't realise it had affected all three. Obviously, Brian Horton went on. He was at City and Huddersfield and what have you. I didn't realise it had affected him as well. So, wow. No, obviously something close to your heart, and good to see you doing something about it. So, fair play. Right. Well, I think that just about wraps it all up for this evening. So, this Sunday, 2:00 kickoff at the Kenny. Luton Town versus Bolton Wanderers, obviously with the away team. A sellout. hope for a good game. A bit of a ding
So like in both the home and the away end as well, which would be nice, won't it? Obviously, it's good to see that the FA Cup's getting a good bit of coverage, I guess. Yeah,
it is. It is. And Liam, I tell you what, he's kept us going tonight.
Yeah.
Go on, Phil, stick your neck on the line.
He also wants me to stand up, saying that I'm only wearing a jumper. So calm down, Liam. But
we're not past the watershed yet, are we? So,
it's not that type of show, Liam. So I'm going to say that you'll get a goal against us, but I'm going to say that we'll nick it 2-1. I think we'll go 1 up, we'll get it back to 1-1, and I'll say that we'll nick it with a 2-1 win.
Cole?
For what it's worth, I'm going to go for a 3-2. I think there'll be goals in it. 3-2. Yeah. Sorry, I do apologise to Luton. I do think we'll get beat, but I think it'll be 3-2. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go 4-0 to Bolton. No, I'm not. I think it'll be close. I think we'll give you a game, but I think it's going to go to a replay.
Oof. Will you be happy with? No, maybe not. You won't be happy. You'd be happy with the trip, but not necessarily the extra fixture. I wouldn't have thought.
It's one of those things. It depends when the replay is, because if it happened this month, it's quite an empty month actually. We've only got 3 games this January.
Oh, right, okay.
So at the moment, I wouldn't necessarily mind a replay, but I think the reality of it is we're at home in the first leg. The first leg, we're at home first. So I think we'd hope to get the tie over and done with in 90 minutes. That's what we would hope.
We could do without it. To be fair, we've had so many games rearranged because of international call-ups and stuff, which seems bizarre but true. All sorts of stuff going on, so we could do without it. But yeah, I just have a feeling that it's going to be
what's going to be interesting. What's going to be interesting for me on Sunday is from a Bolton perspective is, and this is based on what you said before, Phil, because you've obviously got players that are on the periphery in terms of starting 11 who can't get into the team because of your Ross Barkleys and just Townsends and so forth. The players that are just below them, the lads that obviously got you to the so-called promised land. So ultimately, it'll be interesting to see how our lads match up against them, because ultimately what our lot will want to do is play next season in the Championship and be competitive. So if that's the case, then ultimately, with all due respect to the lads on your periphery, they are Championship players per se, aren't they? So that's what I'm looking forward to. If in fact what you're saying is true, and then you start over your Townsends and your Barkleys, I suppose.
You'd expect that.
Yeah. That's a really interesting take, because, like I say, it's one of those situations where you're right. Like, the vast majority of our squad came up with us through the Championship, so it'll be like I said earlier on. It's not such a stretch. Do you know what I mean? The top of League Two to sort of battling away last year. And like I said to you earlier on, a year ago we were mid-table in the Championship, and we went on this crazy run. We have recruited well. We have got those Premier League players, but you're right. Like, in terms of our squad and in terms of the people I expect to play, it could be a lot closer. That's why I said, like I say, that's why I think in terms of my prediction of saying sort of 2-1, I don't think we're going to run away with it, not by a long stretch.
I think that could potentially be Ian Everett's final words as the lads leave the changing rooms. Obviously, knowing what your starting 11 will be, if it is what you're saying, if you think you're as good as you think you are, go and prove it.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be saying if I was him, and maybe that's what will happen. But
it's going to be a case. It will be that message versus the message in the Luton dressing room, which is go and prove to me why I should pick you in the next game.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Be good. And that's what makes the FA Cup what it is. So any of the younger people listening and watching this, you've got to recognise that this is a hell of a tournament, despite what Sky Sports suggests.
They've ruined it, but there you go. Anyway, Phil, thank you so much for your time.
More than welcome. Thank you, guys.
And let battle commence on Sunday.
Thanks everybody for joining us.
Everyone, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you soon.
See you later.